David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. 1 Samuel 36. Introduction. 1. What's the first thing you do in the time of trouble? A. Everybody has problems from time to time, but not everyone tries to solve their problems in the same way. B. What is the best way? 2. One person in the Bible who had more than his share of trouble was King David. A. For example, 1. He was pursued by King Saul. 2. He barely escaped several assassination attempts. 3. He had to spend much time in hiding in the wilderness. 4. His entire family was kidnapped on one occasion. 5. His friends turned against him and were ready to kill him. 6. He suffered the shame of having committed adultery and murder. 7. His son Amnon raped his daughter Tamar. 8. His other son Absalom murdered Amnon. 9. Absalom led a revolt against his father. 10. Absalom himself was killed, much to David's grief. B. Need I go on? David was certainly a man with many problems. 3. Yet somehow he survived them all and has come to be remembered as a man after God's own heart. How was he able to do this? I believe we can find the answer as we consider what David did when faced with one of his most serious problems, as recorded in 1 Samuel 30, 1-6. What David did in times of trouble. 1. At this time in his life, David was living in Ziklag, A. having fled from King Saul, B. and was now aligned with the Philistines. 2. The Philistines were prepared to battle King Saul, and David and his men had gone to join with the Philistines. 3. But the Philistines did not fully trust David, so they sent him and his men back to Ziklag. B. Reading 1 Samuel 30, 1-6, we find 1. That the town of Ziklag had been attacked and burned by the Amalekites, verse 1. 2. The women and children had been kidnapped, including those to his family, verse 2-5. 3. Naturally, David is distressed, but on top of this, the people are ready to kill him for not having been there when he was needed, verse 6. David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. C. But carefully notice the last part of verse 6. 1. What does David do when he lost his family and his own life is threatened? 2. The scriptures say, but David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. 3. This is what David did first in the times of trouble. A. He strengthened himself in the Lord his God. B. With the strength he received, he was then able to deal with whatever problem was before him. But what does it mean to strengthen himself in the Lord his God? In an effort to answer this question, I found it helpful to consider some of the Psalms written by David during troublesome times. How David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. A. In times of trouble, David often composed psalms. 1. While pursued by Saul, he wrote Psalms 59, Psalms 59, 1-4. When imprisoned in Gath, he wrote Psalms 56, Psalms 56, 1-2. Fleeing from Absalom, he wrote Psalms 3, Psalms 3, 1-2. Hiding in the wilderness of Judea, he wrote Psalm 63. B. From these psalms, we can glean how David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. 1. From Psalms 56, we learn that David would place his trust in God to help him. Psalms 56, 3-4 and 9-11. From Psalms 59, we learn that David was determined to continue praising God for his help. Psalms 59:16 and 17. From Psalm 63, we see that David overcame his problem of loneliness by A. Seeking the Lord, Psalms 23:1 and 2, B. Praising and praying, Psalms 63:3 through 5, and C. Meditating upon the Lord, Psalms 63:6 and 7. For in each of these psalms, David is basically saying the same thing. A. In time of trouble, put your trust in the Lord. B. Stay close to Him through praising Him and praying to Him. C. Do this, and you will be made strong as the Lord supports you. Psalm 63:8. This is how David strengthened himself in the Lord his God, and was able to face and overcome his problems with the help the Lord gave him. How about today? In times of trouble, do we follow David's example? Consider a few thoughts along this line. Dealing with our problems today. A. We face many problems even as Christians. 1. Some are related to family or other matters of personal concern. 2. Some are related to jobs and the issue of financial security. B. In many cases, people try to tackle their problems alone. 1. They leave God completely out of the picture. 2. Sometimes they even forsake Him entirely. A. By no longer praising Him and praying to Him daily. B. By neglecting the assembly in which we gather to edify one another and worship God. 3. The reasoning is often expressed this way: let me get my life straight, then I will be able to serve God and live for Him. C. But God is angered if we seek to solve our own problems without Him. 1. God considers such a person as cursed. Jeremiah 17:5 through 8. 2. A good example of God's displeasure when His people fail to look to Him for strength is found in Isaiah. A. When attacked by Assyria, Israel placed their trust in Egypt. Isaiah 30:1 and 2. B. Because of this, God promised to frustrate the efforts of Israel to solve her problems by herself. Isaiah 33 and 31:1 through 3. C. Yes, God wanted Israel to trust in Him, not themselves. Isaiah 30:15 and 16. 3. Even so today, God wants us to put our trust in Him. James 4:8 and 1 Peter 5:6 and 7. A. The truth of the matter is this: 1. It is not God's help those who help themselves. 2. But rather God helps those who trust in the Lord with all their heart and lean not unto their own understanding. Proverbs 3:5 and 6. B. When we leave God out of the picture in solving problems, 1. One thing is certain: God leaves us to deal with those problems on our own and without His help. 2. Another thing is possible. In the act of loving discipline, God might frustrate our efforts to solve our own problems independent of His help. He certainly disciplined Israel that way. Conclusion. 1. So let us learn from one experience in dealing with problems. David. A. In times of trouble, look to the Lord for your strength. B. Trust in the Lord and be steadfast in praising Him and praying to Him. C. Don't forsake Him, nor forsake the assembly of saints in which we draw near to Him. 2. Let what David said of himself be true of us as well. My soul follows close behind you. Your right hand upholds me. Psalms 63:8. Remember that those who trust in God will find strength, deliverance, and true happiness. Do you trust in the Lord or in your own strength? Let the Lord be your deliverance, especially when it pertains to the problem of the guilt of sin.